ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंश कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ स्वामी नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं। हरि ओम तत्सत्। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा। So I'd like to welcome all the devotees. We are continuing the very purifying narration of the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the form of Chaitanya Pravaha, a summary study of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. We have discussed the internal and the external reasons for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya. This is perhaps the biggest secret of all secrets in the universe. We know that, and we discussed this the last time, how the supreme absolute truth has many forms. Some forms are his official forms for the management of the material universe and its affairs, but the topmost form, which is Sham Sundar, is actually his Swayam Rupa, his own personal private form, who God ultimately is. Ete chamsha kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That Krishna is not an incarnation, Krishna is Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakulam Loke Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. And what is actually in the heart of that Krishna? What does he feel? Especially in the relation to not just his external desires. Of course, there are some external desires which relate to how to bring auspiciousness to all living entities, because all living entities are very dear to the Supreme Lord, because they are his part and parcel. They are part of him. The Supreme Lord always sees the living entity as his own. They are his part. They are never actually separated, and that is why when the living entities suffer in this world, the Supreme Lord also, even though he is full of all pleasure, Prabhupada says he still feels that pinch of pain in the form of compassion that the living entities are suffering. That is his nature. But apart from these external desires of the Lord, there are the Lord's internal desires, which are his own private desires for himself. Not in relation to the world, not in relation to the jivas, but what he wants for himself. And what is it that Krishna values most in all existence? What charms Krishna's heart the most, what amazes Krishna's heart the most, we discussed in great detail, is the love of Srimati Radharani. And that is so amazing to Krishna, that the Lord, who is Sarvajna otherwise, fails to find the limits and the glories of the love of Srimati Radharani. He fails to estimate her happiness because he realizes that what she experiences as happiness is millions of times more than what he, the Vishaya, the subject, can experience. So after much reflection, and we discussed this in great detail, so I'm not going to go through all the arguments, but Krishna came to the conclusion that the only way I can fulfill this deepest desire of mine, because I am always wanting to expand my happiness, and I figure out that the only way I can expand my happiness is to experience the happiness of Radharani, because she seems to be having million times better time than me when she associates with me. What is this? This is so wonderful. This is so amazing. So Krishna concludes that if I maintain the position of God, I cannot experience what Radharani is experiencing. If I want to experience what she is experiencing and understand the glory of her love, the only way that I can achieve that is by giving up my Ishvara bhav and taking the bhav of a bhakta. And not just any bhakta, but taking the bhav of Srimati Radharani, the topmost devotee, the shelter of all devotion, the mother of all devotion. She is the topmost worshipper of Krishna. So having concluded like this, Krishna decides that, okay, it's time for my Yuga avatar also. Advaita Acharya is also praying for me. I want to give Braj Prem to the people in general. So yes, everything is working out well. Let me now descend as my own devotee in Kali Yuga, adorning, even though I'm Krishna, I will take the complexion and the mood of Srimati Radharani. And my identity in that particular appearance is not going to be that of a Lord, but of a devotee of the Lord. And in that way, I will be able to taste. So that is God's greed. What is God's greed? God's greed is to become a devotee. Many people want to become God, but God wants to be devotee because he feels, oh, this is... There's not as much fun in being sugar as it is in tasting sugar. So I want to experience sugar rather than just being sugar. We discussed how Tukaram Maharaj prays in various ways, essentially to this effect. So Krishna decided to come down in the form of a devotee and decided to establish the Yuga Dharma of Hari Nama Sankirtana and to distribute Vraja Prema, the love of the residents of Vrindavan, through the process of the chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But whenever the Lord comes, the Lord doesn't come alone. This is one thing about Brajendra Nandan Krishna. This is one thing you should know. Hmm. While each form of the Lord has its own unique characteristics, Krishna has 4 special characteristics. And one of Krishna's special 4 characteristics, which are not even there in Vishnu's and Narayan forms, is that he has very sweet, loving pastimes with the associates. Krishna's Bhakta Vatsalata, Krishna's affection for his devotees, is supreme, is unparalleled, even as compared to other incarnations. And Krishna loves to be surrounded by devotees all the time. He doesn't like to be alone. So when Krishna descends in this world, upfront he arranges, of course, some devotees in the Leela are elder to him, some are of his age and some are younger. So according to the role that the various personalities are playing in the Leela, the Lord arranges for the respective devotees to descend on the earth. Some of them who are elder to him will descend earlier. You may have noticed that when we started the class, and generally when we start the class on Chaitanya Charitamrita, we start by singing this beautiful verse. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. If you analyze this verse, there are 4 entities mentioned. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Advaita Chandra, and Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda means all the other devotees of Lord Chaitanya. So what does this verse mean? That means there are so many Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, but out of all the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, these 2 personalities have been picked out and mentioned very specifically, other than Lord Chaitanya. Who are they? Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Nityananda Prabhu, Jaya Advaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, and Advaita Chandra. So it is very clear from this verse that Lord Nityananda and Lord Advaita are very special. They are amongst the most intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya, and they are in a very, very special category. They are not amongst the general category of the Lord's devotees. They are very special. In fact, today's class is focused on understanding who are they and why they are so special. Lord Nityananda and Lord Advaita, because when we go through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, across many, many chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will find in most of the stories either Lord Nityananda or Lord Advaita being involved in a vast majority of pastimes. They are very, very prominent, unavoidable part of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And that is why they are always specially mentioned. In fact, in the Adi Leela, the chapters 4 and 5, the chapter 4, chapter 5 and 6, not 4 and 5. We have covered up to chapter 4. Chapter 5 is entitled The Glories of Lord Nityananda Balram, and chapter 6 is entitled The Glories of Sri Advaita Acharya. Because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wants to ensure that now that Lord Chaitanya's position has been explained, it is also good that we know who's this Lord Nityananda and who's this Advaita Acharya. So that we do not mistake them to be another devotee. We understand the position, because sometimes if we consider a very exalted person as an ordinary person or as an ordinary devotee also, we may end up committing an offense because we do not properly honor a great personality. We know the pastime of Roma Harshana Rishi. How he was the leader of the sages, he was the leader, he was the disciple of Vyas. And he was entrusted with all the knowledge of the Puranas, and he was sitting on the Vyasasana and giving a class on the Puranas. And when he was giving the class, Lord Balaram walked into the assembly. So when Lord Balaram walked into the assembly, all the assembled sages who were sitting in the audience, they all stood up to receive Lord Balaram. Because who's Balaram? Balaram is Adi Guru. Roma Harshana, sage Roma Harshana, continued to sit on the Vyasasana, thinking, oh, I am on the Asan, I am on the Vyasasana, I am, great. But he forgot that the person who is sitting on Vyasasana is representative of Vyasa, who's the Guru of the Vedas, but the Adi Guru is Balram. The Guru of Vyasa is also, because he's the original Guru. When the original Guru is coming, how can you not show respect to him? So he actually offended Lord Balram. And he was instantly punished as well. Anyway, but that's a different story. But the point here I'm trying to emphasize is, if you do not recognize the greatness of a personality, we may end up offending him. Because had it been that Lord Balram was not who he is another great devotee, it would not have been so inappropriate. But in this case, it actually became very offensive, to the point that actually Roma Harshan was killed by Lord Balram instantly because of his disrespect. Because not respecting the spiritual master, especially the original spiritual master, cannot be accepted within the Vedic fold, and especially not from a person who's playing the role of a spiritual leader, which Roma Harshan Rishi was playing. So it's very important to understand, and that is why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami spends a chapter each, chapter 5 and chapter 6, on Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya respectively. So we will discuss both this. I am hoping to cover both. And again, based on all of your requests, I'm going to avoid being too technical. So hopefully it will be easy. Actually, many of these points I've already mentioned earlier. So I think it may very well be a revision to most of you. But it's good nonetheless. No matter how many times we repeat it, it is very purifying. It is never boring to glorify the Lord, because everything about the Lord is unlimited. So who is Lord Nityananda? So before we understand Lord Nityananda, just like when we discuss Lord Chaitanya, before we discuss Lord Chaitanya, we discuss Krishna and then discuss Lord Chaitanya and how Lord Chaitanya is not different from Krishna. Similarly, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains the position of Lord Nityananda, he explains who is Balram. And then he explains Lord Nityananda, because Lord Nityananda is that same Balaram. Again, it's not an incarnation of Balaram. He is Balaram. Just like Krishna takes the mood of Radharani and comes personally, Balaram personally comes. So practically all the key characters from Krishna Leela, when Krishna descends in Vrindavan, whoever descends, all of them descend in Gaur Leela also. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, Radharani, all the friends, cowherd boys, all are there in different forms in Lord Chaitanya's Leela. In fact, there is a book, Gaura Ganodesha Dipika, written by Kavi Karnapura, another great pure devotee. He has written in that book, the whole book is about this person in Lord Chaitanya's Leela is actually this person from Krishna's Leela. He has given a mapping, match the columns. This person is this person, this person is this person, this person. Yeah. So practically any person is, oh, who is Lalita Sakhi? Okay, Lalita Sakhi is this person. Oh, who was Vishakha? This person. Who is Nanda Maharaj? Who is Yashoda? Everybody is mapped. Because when Krishna comes, his entourage always comes. Krishna never likes to be alone. So Lord Krishna, we're discussing about Nityan Balram, is the fountainhead of all incarnations. He is Adi Purush. And who is Lord Balram? Lord Balram is practically like the second body of Krishna. He's the first expansion of Krishna. One of the most beautiful temples of Krishna Balram is in Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada established. Very beautiful deities. Did I post today? I don't know. Maybe I forgot. Very beautiful today's darshan of Krishna Balram in Vrindavan. Krishna, a beautiful black deity, and Balram, a beautiful white colored deity. Both extremely beautiful. Krishna and Balram, the Acharya say, they are practically exactly the same. It's just like another body of Krishna. What is the difference? The Acharya says Krishna is blackish and Balram blackish like the monsoon cloud, and Balram is whitish like the spring cloud. Balram is white, very fair, and Krishna is very dark. Of course, Krishna is the source in that sense, but the point is that Balram's stature is practically at the same level. Other than complexion, you cannot say Balram is lesser. This is how Prabhupada explained. They differ only in that external form. And when Krishna appeared in Navadvip as Lord Chaitanya, the same Balram appeared as Nityananda. In the spiritual world, this Balram, who's the original first expansion of Krishna, he expands into 5 forms. He expands into the Sankarshan form, and then he expands into the 3 Purusha avatars, the Karanodakshay Vishnu, the Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu, and then finally into Shesha, whom we know as Ananta, the multi-hooded serpent, Ananta Shesh. So just to get some idea, who are these personalities? And we have discussed this, so I'm going to go through this in brief. So this Sankarshan that we are speaking about is actually such a very special expansion of the Lord. It is said from Lord Balram is known as the Adi Sankarshan. But from him comes Maha Sankarshan, the original quadruple expansions, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Sankarshan. So that Sankarshan, he is situated eternally in Vaikuntha and is full of all opulences. In fact, all other incarnations are coming from that Sankarshan. From that Sankarshan also comes the great Mahavishnu. How great is Mahavishnu? Now, Mahavishnu is so great, and we have discussed this many times, that when he lies down in the Karana ocean, from the pores of his skin, universes emanate. How many? Countless, billions and trillions, even when he's sleeping. Billions and trillions, as is in the Yoga Nidra, universes emanate. Just like the example is given, if there is a net, and when a wind blows, just like dust particles pass through a net or through a window and they are seen, coming out through the window. Like that, universes are coming out from the skin, from the pores of the skin of Mahavishnu. Small, 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 small specks. That is Mahavishnu's stature. And ours is just one. Our universe is said to be amongst the small, not even grade 1 universe. It is said to be, amongst the not so advanced or not so complicated universes. Our universe is a simple universe. And there are many other universes which are extremely complex. So when the Lord Mahavishnu exhales, all these trillions of universes come out, and when he inhales, of course, he exhales, the universes are created, then he glances at material energy, and then he agitates, then he impregnates all the jivas. That whole process of creation we have already discussed in the Bhagavatam, so I'm not going to go into that in detail. But practically, this great Vishnu, Mahan, Vishnur Mahan, by whose one breath universes come and are destroyed. This Mahavishnu, Vishnur Mahan Sa Iha Yasya Kala Vishesho. He's just an amsha of Sankarshan. Who is an amsha of Balram? Can you imagine Balram's position? Even though he's walking on the earth, can you imagine that all these universes are coming from the pores of a personality who is the expansion of Balram? And when all these universes are created, this amsha of the Lord, whose Mahavishnu, expands again into another amsha, who becomes the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And there's this beautiful description of how our universe, which is roughly 500 million yojanas wide, 500 million yojanas is roughly around 4 billion miles in diameter. That is the size of our universe. Garbhodakshay Vishnu appears there, then perspiration from his body fills half the universe, then he lies in that perspiration, then a lotus comes, then in that lotus on the top, Brahmaji is created, Swayambhu, then all the 14 planetary systems are created later after the primary creation through the agency of Brahmaji. And in that way, the whole cosmic manifestation is set up. So Brahmaji is the first engineer. So all the ingredients are created by the Lord, and then engineering Vidya is given to Brahmaji, and Brahmaji said, okay, now you create. And then Brahmaji assembles the ingredients to create the various planetary systems. So in that way, this Garbhodakshay Vishnu is like the super soul for that particular universe. But then again, this Garbhodakshay Vishnu expands into Kshirodakshay Vishnu and resides on a planet known as Shveta Dvipa, which we also know that now, since you have studied Bhagavatam, is which planet? Now Shveta Dvipa is Dhruva Loka. Correct. Yes. Where there's an ocean of milk, and the Lord is lying in that ocean of milk. And the Devatas, headed by Brahma, come to the bank of that ocean of milk whenever they are disturbed, and they stand there and they pray. They cannot even see the Lord, but they just come there and pray. That's like a Vaikuntha planet. They cannot enter. They pray, and then the Lord sends an SMS to Brahmaji. Short, brief message. And then Brahmaji understands the message. After he opens it and reads it, he broadcasts this to the Devatas. That's how communication happens. Why they approach Kshirodakshay Vishnu? Because all the various other incarnations which appear within the universe for the purpose of maintenance, yada yada dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata vyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam sarjamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. All those incarnations appear from Kshirodakshay Vishnu in this world. Not only that, Kshirodakshay Vishnu expands and becomes Paramatma in the heart of all the living entities within that universe. So very, very important position. So who's this Kshirodakshay Vishnu? Expansion of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Who's Garbhodakshay Vishnu? Expansion of Mahavishnu. Who is this Mahavishnu? An Amsha of Sankarshan. And who's Sankarshan? He's an expansion of Balaram. And who is Balaram? Same as Nityananda. So can you imagine who's this person who walked the earth with Krishna? This Balaram. Who are these personalities? And who is this Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda who were roaming around Navadvip 500 years ago? Not too long ago. Then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks about the fifth expansion of Lord Balaram, who is Ananta Shesha. This Ananta is the one who's the 1,000-hooded serpent who's holding on his hoods the Bhumandal. So when we come to the fifth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we will discuss this in detail, how the Bhumandal is and how Ananta is holding it. We'll come to that. So today I don't intend to get into that. I'll show you a diagram so you can see it very clearly how he is holding it. But I'll just give a very brief description. On the Garbhodak ocean, Kurmadev is floating, the tortoise. And he's not tortoise size. He's, maybe 1 billion miles wide. And that's the size of Kurma, the tortoise. The original Kurma. From that original Kurma comes another Kurma who comes into the Kshirodaka ocean. Actually, not even in the Kshirodaka ocean. That pastime took place on another planet. In Bhumandal. Anyway, that's a different geography discussion. But Kurmadev is actually floating. The original Kurma, original in this world, is floating on the Garbhodak ocean, and on his back, Ananta Sheshnag is residing. He takes the support of Kurma, and then on his hoods, he's supporting the Bhumandal, which is like a disc. And he effortlessly does that. So that he's carrying the universe and he's sweating. Prabhupada would often say, it's not that when God is lifting the planetary systems in the universe, he's sweating. Like sometimes the Greek demigod Atlas is shown like, carrying the earth, and he's straining. I have to carry. He says, no. The Supreme Lord is not straining. For him, everything is play. As much effort it takes for us to carry a mustard seed. Mustard is rye. The black tiny seed that we use when we put in the oil, the masala. Small. Do we feel the weight of one mustard seed? How light it is. That much weight Ananta feels. And the Bhagavatam, even though it is not described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Bhagavatam describes that he feels so light because he's so blissful discussing and hearing Harikatha. In fact, it said since time immemorial, this Ananta through his thousands of hoods is chanting the glories of the Lord. Because when Ananta took the seva, there's another story, we don't want to go into that, but when Ananta was given the seva of giving support to the Bhumandal, he asked, how long should I do it? And I don't remember if it was Brahmaji or somebody else. I do not remember the details of that pastime. But basically, the message given to Ananta is, you start describing the glories of Lord Hari, the name, fame, pastimes of Lord Hari. You start carrying the planets. As soon as you finish narrating all the glories, your seva is over. So this was the trick. The trick is that because the Lord's name, fame, glories, and pastimes never have an end. And Ananta has been describing them since time immemorial, but they have not yet ended. So he's going on, carrying on this wonderful seva of supporting the universe. It is this Ananta Shesh who is so well versed in chanting the glories of the Lord, who gave lessons on the Srimad Bhagavat to the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras had learned the Bhagavatam even before the Bhagavatam was spoken by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj and to the other sages. The four Kumaras had heard the Bhagavatam from Ananta Shesha first, who is expert in narrating the glories of the Lord. And this Ananta is also expert in serving the Lord because he manifests himself as the Lord's personal paraphernalia. The Lord's bed, the Lord's slippers, the Lord's clothes are all expansions of Ananta Shesha. So please understand that when the Lord wears slippers and the Lord is wearing jewelry, this is not some gold or the rubber or metal or something. They are all manifested from the transcendental form of Ananta to serve the Lord. Ananta manifests as slippers. Ananta manifests as the clothes. Because everything related to the Lord is spiritual. It's so inconceivable. It's so amazing. A spiritual reality. And Lord Ananta Shesha is known as Shesha because he attained the ultimate end, the highest attainment, which is of service to Krishna. So these are all the 5 forms of Balaram. And these are all expansions and expansions of the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of the expansion. Ultimately coming to Shesha, 5 levels. But Balaram is the source of everything. And that Balaram is Nityananda. And just like Shesha has the emotion of being a servant of the Lord, Nityananda also has that emotion that I am a servant of Lord Chaitanya. See, even in Krishna Leela, even though Lord Balaram at an external level appeared as an elder brother, Lord Balaram always had a attitude of service to Lord Krishna. Actually, everybody serves Krishna, and we have discussed this point many times. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Ar Sakala Bhritya. Actually, only Krishna is the exclusive enjoyer. Everybody else is servant. And everybody else, even forms of God, enjoy serving the original Krishna. That is the amazing thing. That's amazing. And more than being God, they enjoy serving the original God. That is amazing. So Nityananda also serves, just like Balram serves Krishna. How Balram serves Krishna? Sometimes Balram acts like an elder brother. Sometimes he behaves like a guru. Sometimes he behaves like a friend to Krishna. Sometimes he behaves like a servant to Krishna. In various ways, Balram serves Krishna. But net, even though he may take a position of superiority, always the consciousness of Balram is, I want to serve Krishna. Servitude is always prominent. And what does servitude mean? What should I do that will please Krishna? That is the prime question of servitude. It is not a mentality of, oh, what Krishna can do for me. The question is, what can I do to serve and please Krishna? So the same Nityananda who had one time appeared as Lakshman, when Krishna appeared as Ram. So this Balram, who's Nityananda, had appeared as Lakshman in Ramayana, in Ram Leela. who at that time had remained silent, even though Ram went through so much suffering, and then he decided, no, this is too much silence. I must protest. Next incarnation, I'll be elder brother. So he became Balram. But Krishna remains the boss. You can be elder brother, you can be younger brother. You have to be servant. Even though Balram so many times tried to override Krishna, Krishna always won. Because nobody can override Krishna. So that same Balram came to serve Krishna in the form of Lord Nityananda. So we have to understand who's this Lord Nityananda. Very, very extraordinary. So there was a very great devotee of Lord Nityananda whose name is Meenaketan Ramadas. And this is described by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And he was such a ardent devotee and servant of Lord Nityananda. He would roar out the name of Lord Nityananda with such love and devotion and so tumultuously that everybody would be astonished. So this Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is narrating that one day that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he visited the house where day and night kirtan, Sankirtan was going on. So at that time, Meenaketan Ramdas, who is this associate, a very close associate of Nityananda Prabhu, was seated there and he was so absorbed in love of Krishna. And at that time, it is said that one Brahmana by the name of Gunaranav Mishra, he was serving the deity of Krishna as the Sankirtan was going on, but somehow he was not showing proper respect to this Meenaketan Ramdas devotee. And the reason he was not showing proper respect to Meenaketan Ramdas was because he did not appreciate Lord Nityananda so much. He didn't think, he appreciated Lord Chaitanya, but he was thinking Lord Nityananda, who is here? Is not so special after all. There's so many devotees. And when Meenaketan Ramdas noticed this, he became offended. Not so much because of any personal desire for respect, but he felt that Lord Nityananda has been disrespected. Just like Roma Harshana had disrespected Balram, similarly, this Gunarnava Mishra is disrespecting also Balram by disrespecting Lord Nityananda and his representatives. Also, it is said, Meenaketan Ramdas also, towards the end of that particular festival, that particular Kirtan festival, he also had some discussion with the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And the brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami also had faith in Lord Chaitanya, but did not have faith in Lord Nityananda. And this actually made Meenaketan Ramdas very unhappy. And at that time, when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had understood what had happened, he actually chastised his brother. He said, why you are not having proper faith and respect for Lord Nityananda? Don't you know who he is? Chaitanya and Nityananda are actually like one body because they are not different from Krishna and Balram. You cannot respect one and disrespect another. If you do not properly respect Lord Nityananda, because Lord Nityananda is Balram and Balram is Adi Guru, if you do not respect Guru, but you simply worship Krishna, who is Lord Chaitanya, then you will fall down. You will not be able to make proper spiritual advancement. Like it is said, right? By Krishna's grace. Everybody wants Krishna's grace, but what does Krishna give? By Krishna's grace, we get Guru. Krishna doesn't give himself. By Krishna's grace, we get Guru, and by Guru's grace, we get Krishna. So if we want Krishna, we go to Krishna and Krishna gives us Guru, who is Balram, Nityananda, but we disrespect him, then how can we achieve Krishna? We cannot. We have ourselves suffocated ourselves. So Guru and Krishna both are important for spiritual perfection. One must respect both properly. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha gurau tasyaite katite hi artha prakashante hi mahatmana. The scriptures say, he who has complete faith in both Guru and Krishna, only to such a person are the deepest secrets of the Vedas revealed. Tasyaite hi katite hi artha prakashante hi mahatmana. All those truths become manifest to him. Others cannot understand. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, understanding this fault in the mentality of his brother, and the same fault was displayed earlier by Gunarnav Mishra, he was chastising his brother, don't do like this, you will fall down. Because those who worship Krishna but offend Guru, they fall down. They cannot make spiritual advancement. And that is what exactly happened. Because his brother did not mend his ways, he actually later on, not immediately, but eventually he fell down from his spiritual position. But seeing the ardent faith of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ardently defended Lord Nityananda and Lord Nityananda's position in front of his brother, Lord Nityananda became so pleased that he appeared that night in a dream to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was so happy, he bowed down to Lord Nityananda. He placed his head on the lotus feet of Nityananda. And it is said that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in that darshan, he was so amazed to see that beautiful form of Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is extremely, he's not only well built, but very beautiful, long arms, a very beautifully shaped body, heroic structure, stature. More beautiful and attractive and cooling than a million moons. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, when he saw that, in a deep voice, he started chanting, Krishna, Krishna. And he was overcome with bliss. And Nityananda Prabhu tried to pacify him in the dream. So, my dear Krishnadas, don't be afraid. I have a special instruction for you. I am pleased with you. You have so much strong faith in me. You are a worthy aspirant to make spiritual advancement and do wonderful service. So I am empowering you to do some wonderful service. My instruction to you is go to Vrindavan. That time he was in Bengal. Go to Vrindavan. And everything. He didn't tell him everything in detail. He didn't reveal the full plan. He said, you go to Vrindavan. Everything else will manifest. I have a special plan for you. You go. See, this is the faith that great devotees have. They don't say, no, God, you have to please give me detailed itinerary of everything. Where I'm going to get breakfast, where my lunch, who's going to pay for my bus ticket, who's going to receive me at the bus stand, everything you must give. This is not how devotee. This is how Krishna gives instructions to his devotee. You go, you do that. After that, what to do? I will reveal in due course. You just trust me. So devotees have full faith when the spiritual master or Krishna directly instructs. And Krishna reveals. And what was that great blessing? That great blessing was this, that eventually after going to Vrindavan, he immediately left, actually, after that dream. Receiving that blessing, he immediately left. And he said, by Nityananda Prabhu's blessings, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I attained shelter of Vrindavan Dham. Because true shelter of the Dham comes with the blessings of the Guru only. You cannot enter the Dham simply by buying a ticket. Prabhupada would say many times, you cannot just buy a ticket and enter Vrindavan. You can enter the geographical Vrindavan, but you cannot enter into Vrindavan, the spiritual Vrindavan, by buying a ticket. Because the Guru has to reveal Vrindavan to you. That is why we generally go to Vrindavan with the spiritual master or senior devotees who have been trained by the spiritual master to properly respect and understand Vrindavan. Otherwise, so many people go to Vrindavan, but they are not able to appreciate and properly get benefit. In fact, they may end up committing offenses. So having achieved Vrindavan, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, by the blessings of Lord Nityananda, got the blessings of Sanatan Goswami, and under Sanatan Goswami's guidance, he understood the principles of bhakti. He got the mercy of Rupa Goswami because Rupa and Sanatan were based in Vrindavan, and through that he could taste the nectar of bhakti. He also attained, he himself says, the shelter of Radha Govinda and also the shelter of Raghunath Das Goswami and Swarup Damodar Goswami. Raghunath Das Goswami is his guru. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's guru. And if you remember, he learnt about Lord Chaitanya's Leela from Raghunath and Swarup, from Swarup Damodar Goswami's diaries. And whatever he learned a lot from Raghunath Das Goswami. And he said, this is how I achieved my great fortune. I have become the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita. You know why I became? Only because I had such strong faith in Guru, the original Guru, Nityananda, that I received such blessing that I was transported to Vrindavan and I was blessed with the association of Rup, Sanatan, Raghunath, Swarup Damodar. And eventually I was empowered to write the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Can you imagine what? The Chaitanya Charitamrita is one step after Bhagavatam. And I was chosen, and that was because I received the causeless mercy of Lord Nityananda. Actually, I am so insignificant, he says. Actually, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is just, his humility is mind-blowing. Across the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Mind-blowing humility. Because throughout the CC, wherever he gets a chance, he says that actually I'm not at all qualified. I don't even know how I'm writing. I'm beyond 90 years old. My eyes cannot see, my hand is shaking, but still I'm writing. And this is possible by the blessings of the Lord. He says that I'm so sinful, I'm more sinful than Jagai and Madhai. If you do not know who's Jagai and Madhai, it will get revealed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Eventually, they were two very, very great sinners who were eventually delivered by Lord Chaitanya. He says, I'm worse than them. In fact, anybody who even utters my name will lose all their good karma just because they take my name. Forget about talking to me and associating with me. But I received such mercy. I, a person like this, that even by taking whose name one will lose all piety, I achieved such mercy. So imagine what is the power and grace of Lord Nityananda. And what is possible for a person who achieves the power and grace. He has delivered, Lord Nityananda has delivered even a sinful, fallen person like me. That he has made it possible for me to get darshan of Madan Mohan, who's my Lord and Master. And he also gave me entrance into the mysteries of Lord Govinda, who's the enjoyer of the Ras Leela. So such humility, such gratitude, this kind of quality is what attracts the Lord's blessings. Of course, whenever Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami speaks this kind of a language, he actually means it. He's not simply saying. Sometimes we just say out of, out of just formality. Oh, I am very fallen. I am nothing. I'm so sinful. But actually we don't mean it. But we know that, oh yeah, devotees are supposed to speak like this. So sometimes we'll speak like that. And that's okay. Maybe in our initial stages of devotion, we may have to act humble. That's okay. As long as we are not duplicitous and we are sincerely trying to develop humility, that's okay. But Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami really felt like that. He was genuinely feeling that I am. And that is one of the qualities of those who attain very great devotion. When they attain very great devotion, they realize that their own position is so insignificant as compared to what they have received. That it sometimes appears they are extremely self-critical. But this is not, this should not be misunderstood to be a state of low self-esteem. Or what do they say in Uh, there's a word for it. Anyway, he was genuinely feeling, that is the depth of realization he had. He felt himself so unqualified, but at the same time so grateful. So this is the nature of great souls, that they always give credit to Guru and Krishna for whatever they have attained. Whereas an ignorant person, a proud person, he just wants to take the credit for himself. Think, oh, I am great. You see, I wrote this, I am so great that Nityananda came in my dream. And he told me, and then, I went, and then, I did this, I did that. And that is not how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami presented himself. Okay. So that brings us roughly to the conclusion of the 5th chapter. Actually, I wanted to do 5th and 6th, but looks like 5th is all we have time for. So essentially, just to summarize what we have discussed in this chapter, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is establishing a few things in this chapter about Lord Nityananda. Point number 1 is Nityananda is none other than Balaram, and Balaram is Adi Guru. It is not possible to understand Lord Chaitanya and attain the purpose that Lord Chaitanya has come, which is to give Krishna Prem to all of us, to achieve it without receiving the blessings of Lord Nityananda. That is why one has to accept both of them. One cannot accept one and reject the other. Guru and Krishna, both must be accepted. This is the principle of the scriptures. If you accept Chaitanya and reject Nityananda, or you accept Nityananda and reject Chaitanya, both are not going to achieve the supreme destination. He who accepts Guru and Krishna and then endeavors with the right method is actually able to achieve the supreme destination. And when one achieves the mercy of the Guru, of Lord Nityananda especially, what is it that is not possible for that person to attain? And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is giving through his own example. I was no one. I am so ordinary. But look what happened to me. I was given access to Vrindavan just because I had faith in Lord Nityananda. And I defended Lord Nityananda when my brother criticized him. I received such mercy. I was given directions to go to Vrindavan. I received not only association in the Dham, but association of the topmost confidential associates of Lord Chaitanya in the Dham. I associated with Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Sarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. And I received initiation from Raghunath Das Goswami. I learned everything about devotion, devotional service, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. And I was finally given this most important service of writing the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And even though I am so ordinary, he thinks so. I achieved such amazing blessings because I had full faith in Nityananda. So essentially what this means is we should remember across that Lord Nityananda is just like Balram is another body of Krishna. Nityananda is another body of Lord Chaitanya. And in fact, these both brothers are inseparable. And that is why practically in most prayers, when Lord Chaitanya's name is taken, Lord Nityananda's name is also taken. That's why in the Mangala Charan, how does he glorify him in the first few verses of Chaitanya Charitamrita? Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahoditau Gaudodaya Pushpavantau Chitrau Shandau Tanonudau. That these two brothers have simultaneously arisen as the sun and the moon on the horizon of Bengal, Gaudadesh. And they are dispelling the darkness of Kali Yuga. Yes, they have come simultaneously. Guru and Krishna have come simultaneously. Adi Guru and Adi Purush have come simultaneously. And that is why we will see in most temples, in most ISKCON temples, we don't worship Lord Chaitanya individually. We worship Gaura and Nitai. Nitai is Nityananda. Yeah, if you're not familiar, you would have seen, there are deities where the hands are raised upwards, and you will always see them in a pair. One is Lord Chaitanya and one is Lord Nityananda. The right side, our right side, when we face the deities, is Lord Chaitanya, and our left side is Lord Nityananda. They're always worshipped together. So that is safe. The, the founding fathers of the Sankirtan movement are Gaur Nitai. And when we worship Gaur Nitai nicely, then to achieve Krishna Prem, it becomes possible. Without that, it is very, very difficult. Without the mercy, because they are the enablers who make it possible. Because otherwise, Braj Bhakti is so difficult to attain, so difficult to attain. Without Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's special grace and intervention, it's practically impossible. We can just pack up our bags and go back, figuratively saying. It's not our cup of tea, as so to say. But Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy makes it possible. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahoditau Gaudodaye Pushpavantau Chitrau. These two brothers are very, very kind. They have come to give, so you don't have to plead very hard also. Just go to them. You just have little faith in them and approach them. Quickly they will come to you and give you all facility. That is their grace. In fact, Lord Nityananda is even more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. We'll discuss this as we go through the pastimes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because even more than Lord Chaitanya would preach. But Nityananda's preaching was, he would go door to door and knock. Those who don't come for kirtan, just like correct, if somebody doesn't come for class, then somebody goes, Haribol Prabhu, Haribol Mataji, how are you? What is happening? Why I didn't see you for so many weeks? Nityananda goes 5 steps beyond that. You know what he does? He goes and knocks on the door of those persons individually. And he tells them, please chant the name of Krishna. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, karo Krishna shiksha. Chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, teach others about Krishna. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Dhana Prana. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, Krishna is your life and soul. That's what he tells. Just chant the name of Krishna. And they say, yeah, you want some money, you are hungry, take this and go. Don't disturb us. That's how these conditioned living entities are treating Nityananda Balram when he comes and knocks on their door. Can you imagine who is he? He is Mahavishnu, from pores of whose skins universes are coming. He is the expansion of Balram, Nityananda. And he is coming and knocking on your door and you're saying, shoo. Time nahi hai, nikal jao. But even when he does that, Nityananda doesn't become angry. He says, please, just once. And then sometimes he'll fall at their feet and beg them, and they'll say, okay, finally. Okay, just to get rid of you, I'll say, okay, Hare Krishna. And as soon as they say Hare Krishna, their hearts become transformed. And they start jumping and dancing. Because when Nityananda gives and somebody accepts, the effect is instant. They start jumping and dancing. So that is how much Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, we don't see pastimes where he'll come and go. He will instruct others, but not to the extent of Lord Nityananda. Because Nityananda, on behalf of Krishna, being Adi Guru, extends the mercy of Krishna to all the conditioned living souls. That is the amazing thing. Okay, so let us offer our respectful obeisances to Lord Nityananda, the Adi Guru, and let us seek his blessings. Let us accept his position as Balram, as the Adi Guru, and we always keep him on the same pedestal as Lord Chaitanya. And if we hear these pastimes in this spirit, then we will be able to properly appreciate them and get the proper benefits. Okay, thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you. Any questions, any comments? Yes, Suraj Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
He's
More
the
of a generic
Acharya of
question.
question and answers.
No, yeah. At least I am
Yes.
thankful my doubts. You are clearing my doubts. So sometimes I really ask a stupid question, but thank you for tolerating it.
There is
I
no
have few
stupid
generic
question.
questions, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I always had a doubt, like we have 18 Puranas, right? What after that? So today I got one thing, that we have Chaitanya Charitamrita. So what happens to this flow, Prabhuji? Does it stop every time getting a new scriptures, or how is it, Prabhuji?
So the Puranas are Smriti. Okay. So there is Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is eternal, and Smriti Shastras are Shastras written in pursuance of Shruti and are usually historical narrations. Now, when Vyasadeva compiled the Puranas, he compiled the 18 Puranas. Yes? So he compiled the 18 Puranas, so those are primary. But Smriti is not limited to the 18 Puranas. Smriti is very dynamic. Smriti includes all other books, works, which are done by the other Acharyas, which are fully aligned with the Siddhanta of the Shruti. So in that sense, even though we don't call Chaitanya Charitamrita as Purana, because we keep that Puran word generally for the 18 Puranas which Vyasadeva compiled, we still consider all these other books as Smriti. Smritis are generally written by sages, and they are written for a particular time in a particular situation as a particular explanation of the Vedic principles, typically through stories, historical stories.
Yeah, got it, Prabhu.
So we can consider Chaitanya Charitamrita as Smriti, but we don't call it Puran. But even though technically it is like a Puran for all practical purposes. By the way, just to let you know, there is an Upanishad known as Chaitanya Upanishad, which is amongst the 108 original Upanishads, which mentions about Lord Chaitanya also. It is about Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is mentioned in many scriptures, some 20-30 scriptures. It's mentioned in the Mahabharata, it's mentioned in the Bhagavad, it's mentioned in many Puranas. That's why we tell Vita, we are not sentimentally elevating our Guru, our founder to be God. Like now it has become, nowadays in Kali Yuga, it has become common fashion. My Guru is incarnation of God, my Guru is incarnation of Krishna, my Guru is incarnation of Shiva, of Dattatreya, this, that. What is the basis of such statements? You cannot just make a claim. Who are you? We are such ordinary people. What can we claim? So we are not claiming the divinity of Lord Chaitanya based on our personal opinion or the society's opinion. We are claiming it on the basis of Shastra. Very clear. His father's name, his mother's name, where he's going to be born, what he's going to do. Even in the Vishnu Sahasranam, he's mentioned. Anyway, Prabhu, yeah, does it answer? Yeah, anything else?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, another two questions. I'm not going to take much time, Prabhuji. So one question I had, and I keep getting from my friends, more of ignorance, right? People who eat non-veg. So let's take, say, if you take another country where meat eating is prominent, right? Still, people are good at nature. So how do we understand that, Prabhuji?
See, the food is one ingredient which affects the modes. Each person is a mixture of the modes. The problem we have is oftentimes we try to put a person into a particular bucket only. Okay. Which means we say he's black or he's white. But Krishna has very clearly said in the Bhagavad Gita, if you look at the discussion of the three modes, Krishna very clearly says that the three modes, each person is a combination of the three modes. Which means that at a particular point, a particular mode becomes prominent. There is a very specific verse where Krishna says sometimes mode of goodness will overcome the mode of passion and ignorance, and sometimes mode of passion will overcome goodness and ignorance. So in this way, the modes are competing. But net we say somebody is in a particular mode predominantly because that mode keeps coming most often out in terms of in his consciousness. But it is possible for a person to be a mixture of good and bad qualities. That is normal. That is not, we should avoid the temptation of labeling a person as bad, fully bad or fully good. It is possible that a person who has certain defects or certain adharmic behavior may have certain other very dharmic behavior. Duryodhan had some good qualities also. So did Ravana. Correct?
Yeah.
Ravana also had some good things, no? Yeah. But his bad overshadowed his good and he destroyed himself. Correct? So that is possible. So for such people, if they are exposed to proper knowledge and training, then they can realize that how their love for nature and their actual food habits are actually at conflict with each other. And when they actually understand that through knowledge, many of them change and give up their bad habits. Right? Many people who eat meat, there was one very famous person who said that if you take a person who eats meat to a slaughterhouse and give him a tour of the slaughterhouse, they will stop eating. Because they are not actually aware of what kind of suffering the animals have to go through for their food. Right? So sometimes it is because of ignorance, sometimes people do certain things, but we should be careful to not quickly label somebody as demoniac just because they are failing to follow a particular principle.
Yeah, got it.
Many people who are now devotees and some of whom are now great devotees have come from backgrounds where they were still at that time in their early years not following all the religious principles properly. But when proper knowledge gives, that's what Krishna says, when knowledge comes, all these lower tendencies are gradually conquered over. So we don't criticize these things so much. We should, rather than criticizing them, help them by giving them a higher understanding. When they develop a higher understanding, they will see the fallacy themselves. So we have to do it gently. We don't condescend and criticize others and put them low and say, see, I am so holy and you are sinful. That is not our approach to sharing knowledge. Right? We have to be sensitive and not take a condescending position.
Yeah. Approach is the last question. It's a more of a generic. So someone forwarded me a message about Ravana Upadesh, which Ravana was giving to Lakshman. Is it like the Upadesh exists? I mean, was there a situation like that?
There was, I don't know whether that is mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. Actually, I do not know for sure, so I don't want to comment on it, but I have briefly heard that Valmiki Ramayana doesn't mention about it, but I'm not very confident about it.
No. Okay.
But the point is like this, whether it actually happened or it didn't happen in Ramayana, the point is this, the principle is, like Chanakya Pandit says, right, one can accept gold even from a dirty place. So this again goes back to the same discussion. If somebody has some great wisdom, some great knowledge, he may have other faults, but we can accept what good is there in him and we can reject what is bad. We don't have to, when we accept somebody, we don't have to accept everything good. Sorry, everything about him or everything that they say. You understand? Correct? So, this is the problem with modern day Kali Yuga people. Once they become fan of some actor, everything that the actor does, whether they don't think whether it's good or bad, they want to copy all of that. But the actual thing is they are impressed actually only with the acting of the person, or maybe the looks of the person and their style or whatever else. But they immediately go to all the other things, including negative things, and they copy them. So this is not the right approach. The approach is we have to use our vivek and decide, oh, this is worth accepting, I'll accept. So even from Ravan, because Ravan had so much knowledge, just like when Bhishma Dev was disappearing in this world, Krishna asked Yudhishthir, you go to him and ask him about dharma and learn from him, because otherwise that knowledge will be lost. Of course, Bhishma's case is different. He's a very exalted personality. But the point was he took knowledge from him. Even though he was Dharmaraj, Dharmaraj went to Bhishma and learned from him. So in the same spirit, there was certain vidyas and certain knowledge which Ravana had. And if he had, and if at all there was an instruction for Lakshman to learn something from him, then that principle is not a problem. You understand? Because he's not accepting Ravana and his everything. He's learning some wisdom from Ravana in a certain area where that wisdom is useful.
Good.
Okay, does it clarify? Yeah. But whether it actually happened, I do not know. So I don't want to comment on it.
Yeah, that's it for me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari. Okay, anything else? Anybody?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, how are you?
Hari Bo, Bhaskar Prabhu. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
Yes, Indulekha Sakhi Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you. Wonderful. So if there is nothing else, we will end. So next week we will cover not just chapter 6, but we'll also do chapter 7. So we'll discuss 2 chapters next time. And that is easily possible because the chapter of Advaita Acharya is slightly smaller. And the following chapter, which is on the Panchatattva, is even smaller. So I think we can complete it the next time. Today I wanted to do 2, but we couldn't. So I hope you were able to follow. I hope it was not too technical or too boring. Is it okay? Easier to understand? Yes, Shraddha ji is saying yes very softly. But okay, thank you. I hope the same is true for others.
Just to add that, what you said, right? That is coming up in Temple of Vedic Planetarium, right?
Yes. But they'll describe to some level because it's very complex. I mean, it requires a lot of understanding some of these things. Yeah, but we will be discussing that soon in the Bhagavatam. So it's very interesting. So you'll become clear with diagrams.
Okay.
Okay. So I will see you all on Saturday. And we'll continue discussion on Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Gauravanda ki jai. Haribo. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sridharji. You're back in India. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Sachiprema Mataji. Thank you, Anand Sundari Mataji. Thank you.
Prabhu.
Oh yes, you both sound so similar. Yes, today it's Anand Sundari. Where is Sachiprema Mataji today?
She's not well, Prabhu.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, give my regards to her.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Yamuna Lila Mataji and Vrinda Priya Mataji. Thank you.